You won't believe what happened when my neighborhood's HOA Karen decided to turn my house into her personal wedding venue without asking me. I thought it was just another annoying story about neighborhood drama, but things quickly took a wild turn. The bride? Totally unexpected. She wasn't just some regular bride planning a simple ceremony. No, she was actually an undercover agent, and nobody knew it, not even Karen. It all started with a knock on my door and a very demanding request from the HOA president, who seemed to think my backyard was the perfect spot for a big, fancy wedding. At first, I figured, okay, maybe it'll be quick and easy. But as the day went on, weird things started happening. Strangers showing up, secretive conversations, and odd security measures that didn't make sense for a regular wedding. I soon realized this was way more than just a party. The tension in the neighborhood was building, and I found myself caught right in the middle of something I never expected. Was Karen using my home for her own agenda? And who was this mysterious bride really? Trust me, you'll want to hear the next part because what happened next completely blew my mind. Stick around, because this story is far from over, and I've got all the juicy details coming up. So here's a little background to help you understand how things got so tangled up. Our neighborhood has always been pretty quiet, mostly families and retirees just trying to keep things peaceful. But Karen, the HOA president, is known for being a bit controlling. She's the type who watches every little thing and insists on rules that make life harder for everyone. When she suddenly showed up at my door asking if I'd let her use my backyard for the wedding, I was honestly confused. I had no idea she was planning something this big, let alone using my home without even asking properly. But because she's the HOA president, I felt like I didn't really have much choice. What made it stranger was how secretive she was about the bride. Karen kept talking about how important the wedding was, but no one was allowed to know the details. That's when the weird guests started showing up. People in suits, talking in hushed voices, and cameras everywhere. It was way more security than a normal neighborhood event. At one point, I overheard someone mention undercover agent, but I thought I must have misheard. The whole situation felt off, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was involved in something way bigger than just a wedding. Who was this bride really? And why was Karen so determined to keep everything hush-hush? Things were only getting more intense, and I was stuck right in the middle, wondering what would happen next. As the day went on, things got even weirder. Karen was acting like she was in charge of some big operation, not just a wedding. She kept barking orders at everyone, telling guests where to stand, who could come in, and even monitoring my security cameras herself. I started to notice little details that didn't add up, like how some guests weren't wearing typical wedding clothes, but more like casual, tactical gear. And the way they communicated was strange, almost like they were using code words or signals. Meanwhile, I was stuck trying to keep my neighbors calm because rumors were already spreading about what was happening in my backyard. Some thought it was a surprise party, others whispered about a secret government thing, and a few were just plain annoyed that their peaceful weekend was being disrupted. I even caught a few friends looking at me like I was part of the chaos. It felt like I was living in a real-life thriller, but with no script and no idea what was going to happen next. On top of that, the bride herself was nowhere to be seen most of the time, which only added to the mystery. I managed to overhear a brief conversation where someone mentioned she was on a mission, and that this event was a cover. What kind of mission? Why use a neighborhood wedding to hide it? And how much did Karen really know about all this? Was she just a pawn or somehow involved deeper than anyone expected? The tension was thick, and every new piece of information only raised more questions. I kept wondering if I was going to regret ever letting this wedding happen in my backyard, or if it was already too late to stop what was coming next. Just when I thought things couldn't get any stranger, the night fell, and the real tension started. The backyard was filled with quiet whispers and hurried footsteps, like something bigger was about to happen. Karen was pacing back and forth, clearly stressed but trying hard to keep control. She kept checking her phone, glancing nervously toward the entrance where a few unfamiliar cars had parked. The guests, who once seemed like wedding attendees, now looked more like they were waiting for something serious, like a mission briefing rather than a celebration. I tried to keep my cool, but honestly, I was on edge. The whole neighborhood was buzzing with rumors now, and a few people came by to ask what was going on. I couldn't tell them much without sounding crazy, but I could see the worry in their eyes. What if this was more than just a secret wedding? What if something dangerous was happening right under our noses? Then suddenly, the music stopped, and all the lights went out for a split second. When they flickered back on, a group of men in suits hurried into the yard, talking urgently with Karen. I overheard words like Operation Compromised and Extraction Needed. My heart was pounding. What did that mean? Was the bride's mission in danger? And why was Karen involved in all this? It felt like the calm neighborhood I once knew had vanished, replaced by something straight out of a spy movie. I stood frozen, unsure whether to step in or stay back. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife, and I knew whatever was about to happen next would change everything. Would I be caught in the middle of a dangerous secret, or could I finally get some answers? The night was far from over, and I was about to find out just how deep this mystery went. Just as I was trying to process what Operation Compromise even meant, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Asterisk, get out now. You're in danger. Asterisk, my heart skipped a beat. How did they know I was here? Was this warning from the bride herself, or someone else involved in this crazy situation? Before I could even think about replying, I heard a loud crash from the side gate. Suddenly, more people, this time clearly not part of the wedding, stormed into the yard, pushing past guests and security like they were on a mission to find someone. Karen's calm, bossy act completely vanished. She looked panicked and shouted orders that made no sense to anyone but her. The bride appeared for the first time since the ceremony started, but instead of a white dress, she was dressed in dark clothes, scanning the crowd with sharp eyes. I could tell she wasn't here to celebrate. She was ready for whatever was coming next. The intruders were looking for her, and the whole neighborhood was suddenly a battleground I never signed up for. I realized this wasn't just a secret agent wedding. It was a full-on undercover operation gone sideways, with my home right in the middle of it. And me. I was stuck wondering, was Karen just a nosy HOA president, or was she somehow connected to all this chaos? The stakes were higher than ever, and one thing was clear: this night wasn't ending anytime soon. Just as the intruders closed in, the bride suddenly stepped forward, calm but fierce. She raised her hands, signaling for everyone to stop. Then, in a voice that left no room for argument, she announced she was an undercover agent working to protect something much bigger than any of us realized. It turned out the whole wedding was a cover for a secret exchange, important information that could change lives. Karen, surprisingly, wasn't just the nosy HOA president. She was part of the operation all along, assigned to keep things under control and make sure no one outside the team got involved. The chaos quickly shifted from confusion to coordinated action. The bride's team confronted the intruders, and after a tense few minutes, the threat was neutralized. I was stunned, watching my quiet neighborhood backyard turn into the center of a high-stakes mission I never imagined. Karen apologized later, explaining she couldn't tell me the truth earlier for security reasons. I realized then how much had been going on behind the scenes, even in a place that seemed so ordinary. Just when I thought the nightmare was over and the neighborhood could finally return to normal, my phone lit up with another message. Asterisk, this isn't the end. Be ready. Asterisk, I looked up to see the bride disappearing into the night, leaving me with one burning question: what had I really gotten myself into? After that intense night, things finally started to calm down, but the experience left a mark I couldn't shake. I spent the next few days trying to piece everything together, still amazed at how my quiet neighborhood had become the setting for something straight out of a spy movie. Karen, surprisingly, reached out to me to explain everything more clearly. She told me the bride's undercover operation was about protecting sensitive information that could have caused major harm if it fell into the wrong hands. That's why they had to keep the wedding so secretive and use my home as the venue. It was discreet and perfect for what they needed. Karen admitted she hadn't told me the full truth from the start because it was a matter of security and trust, but after everything happened, she understood how confusing and stressful it must have been for me. I could see a different side of her then, someone doing a tough job, trying to balance community rules with something much bigger. It made me realize that sometimes people we write off as just HOA drama might be involved in things way beyond our everyday lives. As for the bride, I never got to talk to her directly after that night. She vanished almost as quickly as she appeared, leaving only that last cryptic message on my phone. I've come to accept that some stories don't have neat endings. Some mysteries stay with you, reminding you that the world is bigger and more complicated than it seems. It's strange to think my backyard was the backdrop for a secret mission, and even stranger that I was part of it without fully understanding it until the chaos unfolded. Looking back, this experience taught me to expect the unexpected, and to be more open-minded about the people and situations around me. Whether it's a demanding HOA president or a mysterious wedding guest, there's often more beneath the surface. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my story, it's this: never judge a situation or a person too quickly, because sometimes the biggest surprises come from the places you least expect. So yeah, my backyard was used as a wedding venue by HOA Karen, but that wedding was anything but ordinary. And while the bride might be gone, the story and the questions are still very much alive. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. If you like this story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more crazy neighborhood tales. And trust me, there's plenty more where this came from.